can jump to the next slide. This will be recorded. If you are a current StorageCraft partner, this will absolutely be on Partner Zone. And if you're not a StorageCraft partner, we hope that you become one soon after seeing this, and we will make sure and get the recording to you. We are taking questions in the Q&A. We absolutely suggest that you utilize that panel. I'll be watching it, Junior will be watching it. And if we don't get to your questions, we'll try to engage in questions throughout the broadcast, and we'll also stay on for a few minutes after the hour to take more questions. We want to be mindful of your time. And if for some reason we don't get to your question, we will absolutely reach out to you directly to answer that question. My name is Janine Edwards. I run channel marketing here at StorageCraft, and I'm joined by Junior Silva, who's our product manager in charge of this amazing, powerful device we're about to talk to you about. So what we're going to do for the next hour is we're going to give you a quick snapshot of StorageCraft if you are working with us and want to be reintroduced to us, or if you're not working with us today, a quick introduction to where we've been, where we're going, and then we're going to get right into this technical deep dive. And again, it's an hour-long session of nitty-gritty technical stuff around OneXafe Solo. We'll do some Q&A at the end as well as during through, and we will also show you how you can continue the conversation at the end of the hour. If you are interested as you're going through, if we don't get to your question or you want to hear something else, there is a short link to find out more about OneXafe Solo. That's storagecraft.com/solo, right? storagecraft.com/solo. So at any given time during the webcast or after the webcast, if you'd like someone to reach out to hear more about this solution, that's where you go. So let's get started. So for those of you who are familiar with StorageCraft or are working with us or not quite familiar with us, we wanted to do a quick level set of who we are, where we're going, where we've been. We've been in the business continuity game since 2003, a real pioneer in bringing the channel best-in-class data protection solutions. We were first out of the gate with our snapshotting innovation, really putting a stake in the ground around protection of the physical machine, and we've evolved since then, and we're going to tell you how we've evolved, and our unparalleled recovery features. So our commitment to deliver the most reliable, most comprehensive backup and disaster recovery protection solutions is resolute, and we're proud to do so 100% exclusively through the channel. And about 18 months ago, we received a significant investment in technology, and we knew it was time to kind of get back to innovating, and Junior's going to take you through in depth that innovation journey. And we've been working hard to continue to deliver on our commitment and create a real true business continuity platform, because at the end of the day, job number one for us as a technology partner to the channel is to ensure our solutions solve business challenges for your customers and to make you money while we do that, right? So that's what this webinar is all about, sharing some of the results of that innovation with you. So Junior, you can go to the next slide. Our mission was to create a real true business continuity platform so that we could ensure that you guys had a set of solutions that really expand the entire category. So world-class technology, plus the ability to allow partners to really open up their addressable market and create opportunity as it relates to your customers of today and tomorrow. So our platform of solutions allows you to bring the customers that you're serving right now or in the future, your hopeful customers of the future, the right fit technology to solve their critical data challenges. So today we're going to focus on the SMB customer set with again, a very technical deep dive for a solution that is built for MSP business model, servicing that customer set with their most recent addition to our family, the OneXafe Solo 300 appliance. So without further ado, let's do this, Junior.
Thank you, Janine. I appreciate that a lot, and we're excited to bring this and talk about the evolution and some of the things that challenges and things that we wanted to address with these new products. And it's been really exciting. So I've been with StorageCraft for about 7 years, and when I started StorageCraft, I started as an escalation in support, and was there for about 2 years, and then I've been in product since. And it's pretty cool to see a lot of the things that you're going to see on this webinar are challenges and things that I had to deal with on a daily basis across many partners. It's actually interesting. I bet if you're a techie, if you've been in the had to call support, you might search your inbox for Junior StorageCraft, and you'll probably find shoot me back an email and say hi. That'll be kind of fun. I know a lot of you partners have been with us for a very long time. So always fun to kind of reconnect. But the evolution, it started out with, everything around, the Shadow Protect. It was, new, very new technology, snapshotting, anything in the industry that was really new, right? I mean, we had uh, everything was crash consistent, so VSS was just coming into play, and so we had to kind of make some adjustments and define a new solution set. SPX came in because there's a lot of, as we start seeing the changes around, Linux and machines coming into play, virtual machines. There's a lot of changes that need to happen from SP5 to SPX, and so those happen, and we've been on that platform for quite some time. And with ShadowSafe, it just kind of the next evolution and more on the virtualized side, more scalability, and all the things that we needed to do, that we needed to add to Shadow Protect, but we haven't been able to do that. So it's been pretty fun to do that, and I hope to kind of walk through some of that today. The biggest thing, and I wanted to talk first about, SPX. It's a full feature product, has a very broad use case and scenario and things you can do. Been proven and hardened for many, many years, and I'll kind of talk through some of the engineering effort that we went through to bring that into ShadowSafe. And then, but what ShadowSafe and Solo do, it just creates a new opportunity to expand what the things that you've liked about Shadow Protect. And so there's some really cool things. We hope we can expand that into a new feature or a new functionality that you can use for new customers, or you can start protecting new use cases. That's kind of been the idea. With ShadowSafe, it's definitely better for larger virtual environments. You're talking about you need to protect hundreds of VMs in a single environment. You can do that with ShadowSafe. If you need to protect, even over 1,000. So with Solo, it comes into a very specific use case. It gives you an ability to, environments that don't have the infrastructure in place, environments that need an extra, you need something there that, maybe there's no storage, or, you need to go directly to a cloud, or it gives you a lot of flexibility what you can do, and I hope to talk through that. But Shadow Protect, we still continue to build out that roadmap, and we'll still continue to broaden that product. Has a very good release cadence, and we'll just be adding more and more into the platform, ShadowSafe and Solo. So I kind of talked a little bit about, but why, people always ask me, like, well, how come you created, a ShadowSafe? Why not just get Shadow Protect and build it out even further, and what could we do in that sense? And so for a lot of what we started seeing is just challenges around the expansion and going through different environments. I mean, Shadow Protect was really made for that, on that physical machine environment. It's been king at that snapshot technology, the integration with VSS, all of that. And as we get these environments that are more virtualized, and if you start going in from the on-prem environments to public clouds, to hybrid clouds and multi-clouds, right? You have things in AWS and you have things in Azure, depending on the application. Your data protection can be in one or the other, similar to what our cloud backup product does today. You can protect from Office 365 from Azure into an AWS cloud. So all of those things are strategies and things that have kind of been changing the environment. A lot of containers, Kubernetes, infrastructure as a service. You know what? I don't want VMs on-prem. I just need it in the cloud. All of those things are really changing how we look at data protection. And so we keep track of all of these changes. We're constantly evaluating that. And one of the biggest things I even saw on Microsoft the other day, or actually it's been a little bit now, they put a a report saying that they have more Linux machines in Azure than Windows machines. I was like, whoa, this is Microsoft just saying, yeah, we have more Linux than Windows in Azure. How would you protect those? How would you be able to do that? And so with our agent and with SPX, it was great when it was okay. It's you know hypervisor agnostic, it's storage agnostic, it's sitting inside of that machine. But as these things move away and there's more levels of abstraction, it becomes harder and harder to say, oh, let me protect that data with an agent. I can't install an agent, inside of, some of these services, right? And so I need to create something that that would be able to access and make those challenges. So when we were evaluating, we took a hard look of, what does that take to create? Do we take, shadow control, image manager, and shadow protect, and put it together into? Can we push that along and turn into a solution, or do we need to start from the ground up? And this, we spent quite some time on this with engineering, and it finally came to the conclusion, we really can't, if we want to expand the way that we need to expand, and if we want to address the use cases that we want and protect the things that we want to protect, we really need to build purpose-built for that and build it from the ground up. So that's where the platform came in. And what you'll see is a new architecture. Part of the biggest thing that we had to figure out, it's like, okay, we need to be able to do this. So we can't just install image manager on many servers. We don't have the bandwidth capacity. We need to, we can't put these things together. And so you kind of see there was kind of this monolithic, and it grew quite organically with StorageCraft. You had an agent, and we needed something to replicate, and that was the first use case of image manager, and we needed something, then continuous incremental chains, and we needed something to manage those, so that went to image manager. And then it grew, well, I need to protect a few hundred endpoints to a couple thousand endpoints, and so that went into shadow control, used to be a CMD back in the day. And so it kind of evolved into that spot, but also that evolution, was, it's very distinct that, this is 3 or 4 separate products that you would have to put together. Very flexible, and has a lot of knobs and things that you can do and tweak, but also made it pretty hard as we kept scaling and needed more and more scale. So with the ShadowSafe platform, and that's been, it's a microservices platform. All of those things that, that were broken out into each separate product, now they're microservices, and they're broken out separately, and they can talk to each other. I'll give you an example. We had, if Image Manager would lose the ability to, to know what it had replicated, then Shadow Protect didn't have a way to communicate that. So there was a lot of how they got around some of that. It was communicate was, well, let's put a bad.log file, or let's drop down a file there that when Image Manager is looking for it, this is what it means. And so there was really no communication between Shadow Protect and Image Manager and Shadow Control. It was just whatever happens, you can, that was kind of the communication. Well, it started getting harder because some of those choices you need to make, if you think there's a corrupt image, you need to make a pretty good choice and know where to go from. And a lot of it would just stop the process, right? And in today's world, we need something that's more highly available, and it doesn't stop the process at any little thing that comes up, right? And so what you see some of the features that we're going to go into, we brought all of those features into self-healing and things like that. But those are all broken up to microservices. What it allows us to do as well is kind of bundle that differently. So that's been a fun way to, something fun that we can do, and I'll show you here in a little bit. We wanted something, those microservices, they need to have very fast, efficient communication. It needed to be something that it's not getting outdated anytime soon. So they'll use gRPC. This is what Google uses on their backend servers to communicate. So high performance, open source framework of communication, and these services, they can talk to each other and be highly performant in that way. It's built on HTTP2. It gets all the benefits of performance of HTTP2 and things like that. So the first thing we looked at, we started going through, like, what is it that we want to keep and preserve? And we really came down to, you know what, our agent has been the tried and true. So many people rely on it. Whatever we need to do, we need to bring that core value into ShadowSafe. That can't be something that is lost. We have the best-in-class VSS integration, efficient backup footprint. I mean, you name it, you guys know why you've been using it, and we want to bring that over because there's still a variety of use cases where it's very important. You need a tighter RPO window, you need less impact on infrastructure. If you need highly transactional databases, you need a more application consistency and VSS integration with better QoS of the systems. And so all of those things are still true. And we've always believed the StorageCraft to be, the better quality that you have on that initial protection, the better quality of things that you're going to have on the other side for restores and things like that. So we really want to stay true to that, bring that over. We also had the virtual boot and created some, originally it used to be a lot of the virtual box was the original instant restore functionality that we brought. And then we brought in Hyper-V, and then we brought in VMware. So some of the instant recovery times, and over time, those the legacy Oracle VirtualBox and things, they start getting slower, not as good as the obviously Hyper-V was, but there were still some deficiencies. As we started going into VMware, we saw some new opportunities for us to improve on that. But we want to at least bring back the best-in-class RTOs. And then obviously, it's hardened. We want to bring the reliability. So that was kind of the engine. And to give you an idea, so this is kind of what it looks like, the agent. If you see that we have on the left side, SPX, still MSI related. And as we started going through this, it was very clear of what we needed to bring over. And so we took it from the top down SPX. What do people love the most about it? Is it the UI? Nope. Is it the service and the database? No. Is it STC API, some licensing? No. SP run? No. And we got down to, you know what? Is it that tight VSS integration? Is it our snapshot driver that's really driving that quality and getting all those benefits that we talked about? Yes. Okay, we'll take that. And so that's what we took over. So the same snapshot driver that you have in SPX today, this is not rewritten. This is truly, we brought that same snapshot driver over and we are talking to and operating with it. So that was one of the coolest things. We felt we really kept the heritage of StorageCraft, and we brought that over. And we put two little small services on top that can drive the backups. Obviously, you can see from the size, quite small. And it's a small little agent. There's no UI to it. Everything's driven through the management system and through a single pane of glass. Another complaint people had is like, well, every time I have to do something, I have to go to that agent's UI and do it. Can I just do that from Shadow Control, right? Can I just do that from my central place instead of remoting into all these things? And that's something that we wanted to take as well. But we took the snapshot driver, the whole thing wholesale, and that's what our agent is based on today. It's just a smaller backup footprint, and then we added some new functionality to that as well. The second part was that we looked at, we wanted to bring also some additional enhancements, right? This is kind of like the framework and what would we want to do. This is where, you know, a lot of the data protection, setting up something to be protected, used to be go to SPX, you know, create a job, go to image manager, set the data store so it can take any chains, go set replications, one per folder, go to shadow control, make sure it has a shadow control agent that's reporting it. All of these steps were to do one thing: help me protect my machine so often, keep so many points, replicate this to X amount of places. So we really wanted to bring a high level. It's like, look, can we, instead of looking at a per product, can we do a whole vertical slice and say, what is it the user wants to do? And then let's work on it and try to this part and this part to see what is the best and simplest experience that we can provide to do those things. And so, again, the second point, reboot, some changes around. Every time you had to update SPX, it would require a reboot. And we're like, look, systems need to be up and running, and they need to be available. If there's no change to that driver, that snapshot driver that I showed earlier, there's no need to reboot. And so we brought that. So the new Solo and the child-safe agent, it doesn't require a reboot on any updates. It's really awesome. There's still the one requirement on the initial reboot, just because that driver is sitting so low. It's a kernel level driver, and so it's sitting below, you know, in between the disk and the OS, and so it needs a reboot. Windows doesn't allow, like Linux. Linux, you could just go and put that. You can put that driver on a running system. Kind of joke on the Linux, you can change the engine while it's still running, right? With Windows, it doesn't do that. Windows likes to come up with and put the pieces together that it needs as it's coming up, and then it's fine. So that's what we did. So there are no more reboots on updates. And I usually at this point, people clap if I'm presenting to a bunch of partners. There's a lot of cheering, and I actually can see on the questions, and thank you for the comments on that. Great, finally. So I appreciate it. Woohoo! I like that. So that's cool. And the thing that we wanted to bring, still keep that super fast, you know, instant recovery. We've made some improvements. It used to be a few seconds. You know, even our vSphere, which is our fastest one between the Hyper-V and VirtualBox, used to take 10, 12 seconds for it to get going. Now we can do those things in milliseconds, and it's really, really cool. And that logic and those things have also gone over to the Hyper-V. So the new Hyper-V filter, really performant. People love that, and I can talk a little bit more about that in a sec. And obviously get a nice cover. So monitoring, dashboarding, everything needs to be right up front. You know, people ask all the time, like, how can I know that everything's okay? Give me a big green check mark, and hope I can show you that. And then the last piece was getting some of the, you know, our biggest focus is restores, right? It's having quality data up front so you can perform restores. And on the restore front, it was quite a bit, you know, when you're getting into a restore, it's like, wait, was that MBR or GPT? Do I need to initialize this or that? There were a lot of questions that were getting asked and that you guys had to answer, where if we had a little bit more metadata up front, that we could help you, and so you didn't have to figure that out. We could make restores more reliable, less chance of mistakes, and so that's what we did. So we have a lot of metadata about that machine. Sometimes one of my favorites, and it was like this for a long time, if you click, you'd virtual boot and then click next, 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 you wouldn't pay attention and you had a big server, it would come up in VirtualBox with 500 megs of RAM and like 1 or 2 cores. And people were like, wait a second, no, I need to, but then you couldn't change on the fly because it's hardware, it's, you know, CPU, so you had to wait till it comes up, bring it down, change, and come back up. And, you know, I've always asked, like, man, wouldn't it be nice to just if this thing is 4 cores and 6 gigs, just have that as my default, because I most likely want the same size of machine. Allow me to change if I really need to crank it up or down, but I really need this to use this service, the services that this machine is providing. So that's what we did. So now you have all this metadata that's coming in. So all of the SLA-based workflows, like I talked about, this is where the full data protection lifecycle is sitting right in front of you. So when you create a policy, it's like, take a snapshot every hour, send it to this location, to this storage location. On retention, keep 14 daily recovery points, 6 weekly recovery points, 12 monthlies, and then replicate to these places. That was being able to set that up, the full data protection lifecycle in a single step, and then all you need to do is just assign machines to it, and the system does all the automation, everything that it needs in the back. So you don't have to keep going from 3 different UIs trying to set that up. And if you need to tweak something, you're like, oh man, now I got to go tweak that setting on 10 different machines, you'd have to go to 10 different spots. Replication jobs was an example, an image manager that you'd have to go and set. And then if, you need to change, this location or this path, and you have to go and edit each replication job on a managed folder. Very tedious, worked well for, smaller numbers. As you really start getting into scale, it's really hard to really keep scaling like that. And so this, you can have 1,000 machines, 2,000 machines, and you can say, you know what, I want in 2 clicks, I want less recovery points, hit save, and it gets applied to thousands of machines. So we really want to give power more to you, so you have that power that you can do these things, and very simply. The other thing we wanted to bring over, it was the cloud services. We had to get, again, everything is purpose built, and it's simple, it's flexible, it's a self-service portal. You can go in and do those things. You can set up your whole orchestration and then do a one-click virtualization. All of those things really needed to bring into this platform, and we wanted to tightly integrate it. Not just, can we do a little bit of that, but really tightly couple so that any experience that you have, you're going to see in the cloud services, and you'll see a little bit later. Right now it's living the MSP portal, and then we have plans to bring that into the new One System UI. So let's talk about. So now let's get a little bit deeper. So we talk a little bit on the surface. We're going to go on our deep dive, and we're about halfway through now. So this is the instant recovery. I wanted to spend a little time on this just to kind of show some of the new functionality that we did here, and it's been really fun. You can power on these machines. We added an intelligent IO pattern read ahead. You can instantiate machines from any location where those backups are sitting with ShadowSafe. So they can be in the cloud, they can be offsite, they can be any location, they can be local, on local storage. Those go directly. The disk gets created directly in primary storage, and then your data just migrates into that. So there's no need to, a lot of the restores, a lot of other functionality and competitors, you have it exports or creates some data store, and then you have to move the disk into primary storage. We didn't want that. We wanted to, look, if it's primary storage is where this data lives, let's put it there, right? Don't create another step that they have to do after hours. And especially when you start getting at scale, talk to a partner where he was doing, 20 with a competitor product. There was like 20 migrations, 20 to 30 migrations per month of, they virtualize, they spin up a machine, great, it's spun up, and then they have to work on migrating back into primary storage that night. So he started counting man hours and what it would take, spending 4 8 hours, depending on the size of the machine, moving through the night and having someone babysit and what it was costing him. And he's like, wait, I can go directly to primary storage? I'm like, yes, you can. So really fun stuff. Just kind of give a little view into that, the little double clicking in. It's our patented vial filter. It's able to read data on all of those. So as a VM is turning on, the VM is going to start requesting the beginning parts of that disk. And as it's requesting the primary storage in the VMDK, the filter sees that request and says, let me grab that piece of data, and it is simultaneously and asynchronously puts it down on primary storage and back to the VM. So that's some of that magic that you just requested. And what you generally see with this is that there's a little bit of a, you could say like in the beginning, before it starts really doing that read ahead, any data coming in, you can tell it's a little bit more latency, just like slightly, depending if you were open to a window. And I usually show this. I instantly virtual boot, go into like control panel and double click it, and then it will take like a second open, and then I close it, open it again, and it's instant, right? Because it's already sitting in primary storage at that point. So really fun to show, and you're gonna see a lot of innovation around even more later. This same technology, and I wanted to point that out, and a great question that someone asked about, seems like it's very VMware focused and not so much Hyper-V. And so what we did over here, it was whether it's VMware or Hyper-V, it's the same code base. And that's a great question, because it's with our other Hyper-V driver, with our filter driver, it would spin up, but then you still had the machine kind of in that, going out of the chain, and you had to migrate out of that chain from in SPX. But with ShadowSafe and Solo, you don't need to do that anymore. It creates the VM, the VMDK or VHDX. It creates that VHDX right on the primary storage, and it does the exact work that this VMware filter is doing on Hyper-V. So that's why you get all the performance. This pull and this read ahead that we're doing, it's on Hyper-V as well. And so when I'm talking about virtual boot now, and you're right, thank you for the call out. Yeah, it used to be very VMware focused, and there was a difference of how the VMware one would work and how the Hyper-V, that's no longer the case. So pretty cool, and we'll be able to do that. So I just wanted to kind of show some of that intelligence that we build in. And this is fun because, as the disk is starting, a few megabytes, it has enough to boot. Right? A few megabytes later, you have a Windows boot screen. And this is kind of even part of, there's so many partners, and what you're gonna see with StorageCraft is there's a lot of people that focus on that boot screen. And although great, it tests that your backup is not corrupt in the beginning parts of that disk. So I think it exercises the backup, the restore path, and initiates it. But I've had a lot of people, and when I was dealing in support, it was, man, like they're like, wait, but I got boot screen emails, all month long, but you're saying that the data inside of that disk in somewhere else where my applications was corrupt. And yeah, that's, trash in, trash out. And so, so what, it needs to be, and as an industry, we need to move more towards a true verification path where you can give confidence and you can have more and more confidence. And the more and more confidence also means more and more resources, or, time, or how, at what level of confidence do you feel with these applications? Because, I need Windows to come up. I need my applications to run inside of that machine. I need the data that's sitting on that machine. And so we need to provide more of that. And you'll see some things. But now that we have a lot of that piping in place, what we've been doing with the platform, you'll be able to see some cool things that we're bringing here soon. I wanted to show at least what, what the virtual boot, kind of that read ahead technology. It's really cool because most of the data, it's coming in and it brings your OS, and then it starts hopping in, and it can actually bring any application data. It continues on. it brings, and it keeps kind of hopping over and moving ahead where the disk is even bringing the data. So the disk can still be, the virtual boot still bringing in the beginning, and then it comes back later and it backfills all of the cold data, right? So if you have a 2 terabyte machine, that might be, only a gig or so, or a few gigs that's actually used as the system is up and the services are up and running. The rest of it, 99% of that machine, most of the time, is just cold data. Even a 3 terabyte machine, it's just a lot of cold data sitting there. And so we wanted to make it that, look, let's get the machine up and running. Let's get the business continuity going right now, instantly, with a few seconds. And then we'll bring in all this cold data and we'll backfill that data for you and keep you updated on that. Or you can also choose if you want to go the other way around. If you want to go, you know what, I want to bring all the data first before I turn it on, we can do that. But if you're doing virtual boot, this is kind of the path that it goes. So I wanted to at least show a little bit of that. Again, highlighting some little bit of differences. It used to only be supported SMB only with the SPX, the vial filter and the Hyper-V filter. Thanks for calling me out. That it used to be only SMB, right? And iSCSI on the SPX side. We added for the new shuttle safe, it's the NFS. So NFS, iSCSI, SMB, those are all new. With the Solo, it could be out of your internal storage, it could be out of your external USB, it can be from an offsite storage, it could be from the cloud. You can have recovery points that are in the cloud and turn them on in your system online, on-prem, and it's pretty fun to, because it's a little bit strange when you look at it. You're like, wait a second, that machine was on the cloud, but it's turning on locally. So pretty cool. And it used to be like we were saying, like there was even read delays that we would have, 10 seconds. It would sit there waiting for the job before it could actually get going. You can see some of the efficiencies that we gain on bitmap sizing and things, and in 20 milliseconds, we're able to start that. So you get really fast at those beginning reads, and your machine is booting up and Windows is taking over. So again, drastically simple, easy way to manage. We have a dark mode in there. A lot of the guys use this at night. We know recoveries never happen in convenient times. It always felt when I was working for an MSP that it was holidays and late at night. It was always the most inconvenient times. But this is we wanted to make it simple, give you the that big green check mark that we talked about. Are all the services up and running? Yes, they are. It's like, hey, is there anything that I should be protecting that I'm not? So as it discovers the environment, those VM environments, VMware and Hyper-V, is there anything that's not getting protected, and kind of calling that out. And then also the status of the data protection, obviously some real throughputs and data change rates. What's the data change rate in a certain environment? So really cool. So that was kind of the final product. As we started looking into, we took that engine, we took that framework, and we wanted to add some new capabilities for that. So that's host-based backup. That's the agentless protection that we've had. For a long time, we relied a little too much on the agent itself. But as environments grow and as times change, then you have to change also with them. The capabilities, like I said, it preserved on that core value for the agent, but it does give you some new possibilities that you can do agent-based and host-based. One of the coolest things that it's not different workflows. So, if you're protecting a physical, it's not, oh, for physical, do this other thing, or for, agentless or host-based, do this other thing. You can, in the same exact policy that I showed you, you can assign a VM and an agent-based machine at the exact same time. So that's something that's really unique, really different that we've done. So those modern workflows optimize the whole data protection lifecycle, deployment methods, and I can go and show kind of one of these next things, but everything that we wanted to do on those microservices, the communication, nothing goes clear text. Like that was a big, as we get into more and more secure world, that more services and more things are talking, it's like we need to secure those better. And that was really hard with the, you have 3 different products written in 3 uh, different ways, and so communication was very hard between SPX, image manager, shadow control, and so. But now with these microservices, they're talking, they're authenticating, they have all their PKI-based encryption, and they have encrypted tunnels, and they're talking to each other, and really cool to see. We wanted to just kind of show, this is just a showcase of a little, speed of deployment. Our deployment methods, instead of creating or installing things, just to show kind of against Veeam, there's always the green giant. And so it was like, hey, number of clicks to deploy and protect a machine. So we went through, and this is the happiest path you can take. And we are going through, and that's how it took. 34 clicks on a ShadowSafe versus Veeam. There's a little bit less clicks on Hyper-V, but we want to bring those experience. I just want to call that out. That they're a little bit different because of the way in Hyper-V you can't just import an OVA or an OVF, kind of like in VMware. And so we had to do things a little bit different there, but those experience will be similar. But time to deploy, time to get your first backup. I mean, you're talking about 10 minutes versus 85. A lot of the deployment type, no Windows licensing, all of those things that would be required, that you're going to have to, they're required to install, they're required to maintain. Even cloning of those VMs and things kind of doesn't go with Windows licensing, where our appliances, everything is based on a CentOS 7. So Linux based, you can clone it, it's super, super flexible, but pretty cool to see. It was cool to see at the very final product after we put all together, kind of the proof of that. And as far as deployment goes, like those microservices we talked about, they're very important because it creates that flexibility that you can package those in a couple of different flavors. So you can package those in a VM, and you can, it could be a VHDX in Hyper-V, an OVF in VMware. They can be packaged in a Solo and a physical device that's holding all of those. Docker containers for our OneXafe appliance. So we have a Docker container that has the backup service, and Kubernetes, and you see a lot of our where our cloud-based management stuff also doing that. So a couple others, just recovery and instant restores on the workflows. 4 clicks to restore versus 22. The big difference here is like a lot of the metadata, a lot of the decisions that you would have to make, because we know where it came from, where you're trying to put it. We've taken that on to put it more, on Rails, and have you less chance that you could go wrong, right? Every time you have to make a decision or more clicks, it's more chance it could go wrong. We really spent a lot of time in the product to bring down, everything had to be less than 7 clicks, right? And so you see a lot of like editing a policy, 3 clicks, restores 4, doing a full restore for a VM, you see I click 1 more time. So pretty cool, and you guys will be able to see that as soon as you start playing with the product, you see that. It also allows us to do some in-flight verification. So this is, we are able to detect, one of my biggest pet peeves is in replications, you'd send the whole data to the other side, and then it would verify and it would fail because there was a bit that was flipped right in the beginning. And so now I got to send that whole replication job over again. Well, we don't do that. We do all these things now in flight. And so we can send over the data, and in flight, if there's a bit that's flipped or something, we reestablish the connection, and we continue that job. We wanted to make things more resilient and not wait to find out after you transfer a terabyte of data that something didn't verify, right? So doing these things on the fly, it's been pretty fun. And then obviously detect these things in the, whether all of those services, as they're reading and doing these things, have the same detection. So backups, replications, consolidations, restores, and now that the system is able to talk to each other, it can understand more of what's going on and understand and self-heal a little bit better. So an example, in backups, if it finds, maybe there's some bit rot and we can't read this image, there's some bad data there. Well, actually in flight on that same backup job, it goes, okay, well, there's some corrupt data here. Let me go back to the previous one, the previous recovery point. Let me check that. Oh, that's good. Okay, we'll continue on from that point and let's heal forward. Really cool because it doesn't have a lot of the delay, in consolidation, and it stops the whole process. And then you have to go through and, oh, did I verify, or where should I point this from? All of that logic that you'd have to do manually, it's all done automatically on every single backup job. So the idea here, and thanks for the question about the chains. What about any more backup chains to troubleshoot? So that's the idea, is that, look, we've spent a lot of time, and we're making partners spend a lot of time troubleshooting chains and doing things that we know what needs to be done, and we can do that automated without, why do we putting them through that? So the idea here is that, look, we'll control the data store, we'll do the things that needs to be done, and then so you don't have to worry about. That's the idea. And we'll keep moving forward on that. No offense, some guys that really wanted to go and really muck with chains and things, we kind of change that. Another big simplification on the licensing. This is a big one because one SKU versus managing licensing in a partner portal. Big difference, both on the ordering of the Solo SKU and ordering of the ShadowSafe MSP. We wanted to really simplify it. They're like, do we really need, they need to create a separate license for each machine they're protecting, or can they just, we can just build the number and the counts that they're protecting? And that's been a big change that we've done with this. So no more, you don't need to go to the partner portal, you don't need to get these different licenses. I saw a question come up over here, how do I get a license from the partner portal? No longer the case, and it just reports up and the bill naturally rolls through.
Hey guys, it's Janine. Just want to, Junior, just want to be mindful of everyone's time. We are about 10 minutes before the hour. We are going to get to the Solo device shortly. Just bear with us. We really wanted to make sure we dug into the powerful software that runs on the device. So if you can stay with us, we're probably about 5 to 10 minutes after the hour, and we're going to get to Solo very shortly. But we wanted to make sure and spend a lot of time on this powerful enterprise class software that's bundled into the device.
Yep, and it's really cool. I appreciate the questions. There are a lot of questions flying through right now for host-based backup for Hyper-V. Yes, that's coming in June. I wanted to announce it over here. People are saying, awesome, that's cool. Yeah, we're excited about it, and so it'll be coming in June, and then you'll be able to do host-based backup for Hyper-V. Reach out to me anytime if you're really techy and want to get into that and get a preview of what's going on there. Reach out, junior.silva@storagecraft.com. But we're excited to bring that also that functionality. The Solo will have that functionality as well as ShadowSafe. I want to just kind of highlight this, and I'll kind of move through. A lot of the protection format we talked about, splitting the metadata and image data from each other. More modern storages that need dedupe. It was very hard when it was all into that single SPF because there was a lot of metadata in there. So as it was chunking through, everything would look differently. So we made some storage flexibilities. We removed chain restrictions. We have metadata for the improved restores, and it's really built for performance from random access for virtual boots, both from Hyper-V and VMware. Just to show a little bit compare on the image. So one of the things, remember, if a continuous incremental chain got too long, over 1,000, you wouldn't be able to restore any longer. And so that's removed those restrictions because we act much more like a file system. So it's much more like at the time of the restore, like a synthetic full, where we only know, I don't care if there's 20,000 forever incrementals back, comparatively back in the day. But it doesn't matter if there are 20,000 machines. Like I need to open 5, so it only opens the things that you actually need. You don't have to. You can change passwords and do that without having to rebase. You can, all we do when we are comparing and doing consolidation, we compare metadata and just move the data across. So this really, what this translates to is like way less image manager servers when you're at scale to do this, where a single VM can do it, where it would take, 50 servers. Super easy, it's just a re-referencing of things. So the same data would be 4 times. If you care at the end of the month, it'll be at the last day of the month had the same data as the weekly consolidated, as the consolidated daily, as the monthly consolidated. So you have this data 4 different times. It's like, well, we don't need to do that. We can just reference that part. So just a highlight, and you guys have the slide so you can kind of go back to. We avoid any movement of data if we have to. So we just change the block ownerships, or we do server side. All of these improvements that are low level that haven't been able to do that before, but now they're there. And all of that functionality that we talked about is integrated into the Solo appliance. I mean, that's been one of the coolest parts is to have all of this functionality in the Solo, and then be able to add some additional functionality like backing up directly to the cloud. Like we talked about, some of those environments that don't have this capability. Biggest challenges we wanted to address is provisioning, lock-in. You saw from our previous webinar that on this exact slide, if you have infrastructure around, just go ahead and use that infrastructure. You don't need to be locked in into, no, all the backups have to go to this device. Provisioning, try to figure out how much people are going to have in data is just near impossible. You see the craziest math, it's like magic, and it just doesn't work. So that's the ultimate flexibility that we're bringing into the Solo. So you can have a Hyper-V, vCenter, ESXi, standalone, physical servers, and you can have any of those locations, anything that your customer has, you can bring that same to any of the backup targets that's supported. So you could go direct to cloud and physical machines. You can have vCenter and go into a NAS, internal drive if you want to put one in. So external USB, and try to make those as as seamless as possible. I mean, you plug it in and turn it on, and we auto detect that, and it's all ready to go. All of those things driving, again, like we were talking about, the core value of our agent, the platform, and what we've created, and all the differences on the Shadow Safe, all coming together into a single small form factor with data protection and disaster recovery in our cloud. Super, super powerful, and that's what we're really proud of. The simpleness to plug and protect, everything has to be done remotely. We want your technicians to focus on other things. They plug it in, it shows up automatically in the UI, and you're able to protect. So really, really cool part that can be done there. Everything that you see today, it's the idea. It's all through the public one system. Our StorageCraft one system manages all these things. So it manages the Solo. You see here our next release coming out. It's like managing all the OneXafe, Shadow Safe from the same place. And that's more of a vision slide that you can kind of see that the cloud services from the portal will come into the new workflows and the UI of Shadow Safe and the platform. And cloud backup also be integrating soon. Both of those will be coming soon after that. But give you a single pane of glass where you can do all of these things, no matter where from, and you can operate, manage, both Shadow Safe environments, Solo environments, all from a single pane of glass. Pretty cool. And as far as the release, just to kind of give you guys a little idea of when things are coming, basically on a quarterly cadence release. So we released right now the Solo back in March. You're going to see the Hyper-V host-based backup coming on our next release in June. And then you'll see another release coming in end of Q3. And so just give you an idea of when you could expect new features and functionalities coming in. And I had some questions. Can ShellSafe use a NAS? Yes, it can. And we are excited for that. Janine, that's back to you.
Great, thanks so much. So a lot of questions about pricing, and just to level set again really quickly as we're heading into the tail end of the webinar. So ShadowSafe is the data protection software that's bundled into the device, right, of Solo. Solo is our appliance that is able to do direct cloud, just as Junior mentioned. So if you'd like, we wanted to spend a lot of time on how ShadowSafe works, all of the architecture behind ShadowSafe, etc. If you'd like more information on this bundle and how it works, again, go to storagecraft.com/solo. So if we jump into pricing, the way that we price this guy is kind of another benefit to partners, because the way you purchase Solo, and go back to the pricing slide for me, Junior. Because the way you purchase Solo or how you consume its value has become incredibly simple. So what you'll see here is our partner list price, and you would contact your authorized and participating distributor. Solo is sold through distribution for your exact pricing, and you can expect that it would be about 5 to 10% below this list price. So, and the beauty is, when you order, you say, I need X amount of machines. What you do not ever need to do is indicate, I need these machines to protect Y or Z number of machines. You indicate the shipping location, which is again another beautiful thing, because you can send it right to the customer if you need to. You don't have to roll a truck, right? And technicians can spend time at the help desk driving operational efficiency there, rather than going on site and having to sort of deploy this, because the customer can even plug it in. As soon as you see it on one system, you're able to manage it, right? So on a monthly basis, we let you know what you protected for that month and what billing info pertains to those protected machines. The other great piece of the puzzle that we're really excited about is the limitless warranty, right? So if you pop to the next slide, Junior, every time someone buys a Solo appliance, it comes with a 24/7 support. But in addition to that, as long as partners are using the device, you're entitled to replace it at any given time. If something happens to the machine, you'll tell us, right? And we'll replace it. And distribution will help with that as well. We've streamlined that process because rarely does data reside on the box. The config information is all in the cloud. So that RMA experience is relatively painless. And we think that's a real competitive differentiation compared to the solutions that exist today. What it takes to replace a machine at a remote location is a totally different scenario across the competitive landscape. And if we go to the next slide, we want to make sure, again, that you are able to kind of, as technicians, we know that you become the champions of the technology that you're managing, that you're bringing into your managed portfolio, right, for your customers. So we actually have an NFR program, and it's pay a one-time fee of $9.99, and it's prepay, and you receive the Solo device with 3 supported licenses for 1 year. That's a savings of $2,000 plus over the course of that time frame. Again, the device will be shipped from an authorized and participating distributor. And all you have to do to get information on that is, again, as we build that slide, storagecraft.com/solo, and you can get your hands on a Solo. We want you to discover the power of this device so that you're really comfortable and you trust the ability to deploy this out to customers. So that brings us to the 3 o'clock mark. I want to thank Junior so much for taking us in depth through the powerful piece of software that powers this device. He's been such an important part of the process of bringing Solo to market. We're very excited about it. We thank him for all of his hard work and making sure that it has what all partners need as far as, you know, the use case. And we are going to stay on for about 10 more minutes, 5 to 10 more minutes, and answer some of the questions. And again, this will be recorded. It is recorded, and we'll be able to send it to you after the webinar, and we'll also be in partner zone if you are our partner today. So again, let us know if you'd like to hear more. We thank you very much. We know it's a difficult time that you're traversing. We appreciate you taking the time out of your day to understand what technologies you can bring to the end customer that make a difference right now. So have a great rest of your day. We'll stay on. Thank you so much, Junior, and we'll talk soon. Okay, so we have a couple of questions. For MSPs, we'll be able to manage multiple clients' backups with the same pane of glass? I believe the answer to that is yes, Junior, yeah?
That's correct. Yep, that's the idea. You can manage multiple sites, all from the same pane of glass.
So here's a question on some clarification on some of the information that's presented. One says any size drive I can buy works in the Solo. And I'm trying to get into this question, sorry. This question and answer thing is so tough to navigate. I don't know if I can get to this whole question here, Junior. Can you see it?
Yeah, you can. It's also questions around the specs. I see a couple of those. You're gonna have this slide. There is a slide in there with the specs of the device, and it talks about that. Yes, you can put in a drive right now. It can be can it be SSD or hard drive? Yes, it can be SSDs. And any other questions around the specs? There's a slide with the specs that we kind of brushed through just for time, but yes, it's there.
Yeah, so here's a great question, right? So the great thing about OneXafe Solo is its flexibility in various environments for deployment. So maybe you could kind of talk to those a little bit, the best types of environments where the Solo fits the best. And again, the wonderful beauty of it is that we've sort of evaluated a lot of different environments. So maybe you can talk to that a little bit, Junior.
Yeah, so there's no hard limit on how many machines you need to protect an environment. That's part of the provisioning benefits that we wanted to do. So if your environment grows from 3 machines to 6 or 7, you don't need to get a second Solo or anything like that. You just keep protecting more machines. We generally see, we say about 20 is kind of a soft cap of that environment. Can be 30, but we kind of say around 20 is pretty good. If you have a really big virtual environment, for example, that's where ShadowSafe would be a better fit, just so you can scale a little bit more.
Great. With Hyper-V, did you answer this one? With Hyper-V post-base backup coming soon, if you deploy, this question panel is so hard. If you deploy today with the current Hyper-V method and want to switch to host-based when available, does your existing backup job stay intact?
Yeah, it stays intact, and you'd be able to do the. We don't touch the SPX chains, so you'll be able to run them side by side.
Lots of questions on this, a couple different questions on the sort of migration path from SPX to ShadowSafe. And I think, did you talk to it's a new install, right? But we do have support resources that are available to sort of help with the transition of that migration. Is that true?
Yeah, and there's no direct transition, and I want to say that just, what we found as people were transitioning over, like kind of like that same question before, they don't want to delete their existing backups or things like that, right? And so we can help you with that, and the best way to migrate, you could say. A lot of it you can just do side by side, right? If you have, we have some partners, most of our SPX install base is on VMs. You can do host-based backup from outside of those and transition that way, so you don't need to reinstall agents. Or if you want to do agents, we can help with that as well.
And how many servers can you virtualize on the Solo units?
How many Solos can you virtualize on the?
No, how many servers can you virtualize on the unit? I think the answer is.
On the Solo, there's no virtualization on the Solo. There's virtualization and shown to what that looks like outside of in Hyper-V, for example.
Yeah, and the target customer for this machine, guys, is your S&M, right, of the SMB for this particular model. And so it's essentially allowing your smaller to mid-size end customers to have this enterprise class software, right, through ShadowSafe, but at a price point that's consumable to them while still giving you margin. And it's really, really simple to deploy and manage, right? So I hope that answered that question.
Yeah, I had some questions that people asking about, hey, can you, I expected a demo on this deep dive. And yeah, we wanted to show a little bit more. There's some definitely important things to know before. Schedule a demo with any of the RSCs or get access to the product and play it in your own environment. It's pretty cool, and
Yeah,
we
just go
can
to
provide that.
storagecraft.com/solo and someone will reach out to either get you a one-on-one demo or either get you information on the NFR.
Yep.
And we have a couple more questions. Most of the time you can only have one backup software on the machine. Would your stuff play nicely with Datto software or even ShawSnap? I don't know that word. Doing images to a Datto box? I don't think so, right? That's the answer to that is no.
Yeah, there's nothing that restricts that both of them can be installed. Those are both different drivers. We've never tested them installing them on top of each other. There's definitely, whenever you're talking about kernel level drivers, you just want to make sure that both of them are not going at the same time, right? So kind of like installing 2 or 3 antivirus, you just don't want to do that, cause other problems. Because both of them could be conflicting. Sometimes we have tested, with other competitors on the host-based backup stuff, which is kind of your outside of the machine, but inside of the machine, it's just not a good best practice for that. But again, I can't tell you yes or no on.
So here's a really good question. Yes, a couple of things that this question opens up, right? So if we want to back up to Cloud Premium, it costs $99 per month. So a couple of things before we answer that specific question. Our purpose-built cloud services is bundled with the Solo at a monthly price, and that bundled version, that tier of cloud services is premium. Is that correct, Junior?
Yeah, let me answer a couple of other questions that people are asking about the 99. So when you go into this, and maybe I'll just go back 2 slides. Okay, and let me explain you this. So at the order time, you're gonna order a $0 SKU. Okay, so you ordered today, $0 SKU, and then the invoicing next month, and that first $99, you're gonna be charged $99 that next month, and that's gonna include 1 cloud bundled machine. So basically, if you can see from the price, $99.79, so there's $20 per appliance over there that you can see on a monthly, and that covers the evergreen warranty, right? And so the $20 a month, you don't have to worry about warranty for years to come. A lot of competitors, other people have a 3-year warranty. That's not the case. You can go 6, 7 years, 10 years, and that covers it. So that's kind of the difference. So it includes 1 machine on that pricing. That 99 includes 1 machine that you can do in the cloud, and then any additional machine, whether physical or VM, would be $79 per month after that.
Great. We're going to do one more question because then it's about 10 after the hour. It's a good question. Can the Solo push offsite via IFTP like Image Manager? Is that not a thing anymore? We're currently sending to our data center, and I want to verify this piece. That's a great question.
Yeah, we have the ShadowSafe service nodes, what we call them. They receive all the data transfer, and so it's no longer sending via IFTP. The reason why a lot of the in-flight, the encrypted channel, all that stuff, we manage that now through our replication. So we do all the resuming, the verifying in flight, all of that. We control that. So so at the moment, so just like you stood up an FTP server in your data center, you would deploy a VM that has the storage services ready to go.
Yeah, another verified, when someone wants to verify something I said, yes, you are able to have this device from distribution shipped to a customer, right? So especially right now with social distancing, making sure that we're not wasting time in our service desk, right? They would take it out of the box, they plug it in, they send a ticket into your PSA, whether it's Autotask or ConnectWise, hey, I've got this. From there, you can help them. It's plug and protect. It's connected to an internet of protecting. It shows up on one system, and you're managing it. That
correct.
Is
some people have asked us like, well, how do you know like where it shows up? And some people actually they're surprised. They're like, yeah, this thing just showed up when it turned on. And a lot of it's from that billing when you make that order, you know, and the distie sends us the here's the partner. We're able to map that. If for whatever reason there's not a mapping on the very first time that you order, then the very first time there's a claim code that you say, you know, there's a section that says don't see your device, enter the claim code, and that's where, and I can actually show that right here. So if I go into service nodes, and then here's the activate right here. So not seeing your device, enter the claim code. So this is what it would be if it was like, oh, I can't see it. After you've done this once for an account ever, everything after that that's ordered, it automatically shows up. So we try to match it, but if for whatever reason, if there's a problem on an order, or then you'd have ability to claim it right here. It's just sitting in a holding tank, calling home, and as soon as it's entered over here, we assign it to the correct tenant.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna finish off on this. I keep on saying we're gonna not take any more questions. So good.
There's a lot.
So good. Talk about the default encryption that the web says I have to call StorageCraft in order to change to something known only to the client or us. Expand. What does that mean?
So that's in a for I'm not sure exactly where that is. I don't know if there's a are you talking about some documentation? I don't quite understand that question, but we can follow up.
Yeah, we'll definitely follow up. I'm so sorry. I have a customer that has over 20 terabytes of data to back up. I use StorageCraft for the local backup, but Backblaze for cloud. How can this device help me with that scenario?
What you're going to see is that there's a ton of flexibility in the platform. So it's very open to, you know, you can back up even in larger sizes, right? I mean, if you had like this and you were putting in something like compare like a Data Alto that you can protect, you know, 2-4 terabytes, you wouldn't be able to do this, right? And you'd have to go into a next level of product that can fit, and that can be quite expensive. Where with the Solo, you would be able to do that. If you have a local storage that has 20 terabytes data local, you can back up through the Solo to that. The ability to give you outside connections, or you have control of those. It's just a Sen 7 machine. I mean, underneath the covers, we're just mounting anything that can be mounted in a Sen 7. It can be used. Gives you a lot of flexibility in that way. We've had, I mean, people are backing up to a mounted Ceph instance in a big data center, and they're using that. It gives you some really cool flexibility. It might not start playing with it, and then you'll be able to see the functionality and flexibility there.
Okay, what we're going to do is we are going to let everyone get back to their day. We appreciate you so much for spending time with us, for, again, getting inside ShadowSafe, which is a very powerful piece of software that is bundled onto OneXafe Solo. If you have any questions, please let us know. You can always use the form, StorageCraft/Solo, to ask any questions. And we appreciate your time, and we hope everyone is being safe and healthy. And thank you guys so much. Thanks so much, Junior.
Yep. Thank you, Jenny. Appreciate it. Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate you guys sticking around, and quite impressed with the number of people that stuck around even after this much after the webinar. So I appreciate you know, anything you guys need, let me know. You can email me directly as well anytime, junior.silva@storagecraft.com, and we'll try to answer. We'll take some time going through every one of these questions and get back to you. Thanks, guys.
Bye. Have a great day, everyone.